So you got the job offer and are thrilled about it. But wait, the money isn't exactly what you wanted, or maybe it is, but you don't want to leave anything on the table. After all, there are lots of perks that you want to miss out on. And in case you didn't know, perk is a shortened version of the word perquisite, which means a benefit or privilege that is given to someone in addition to their regular pay or salary. Perquisites can be monetary or non-monetary, and are designed to improve an employee's overall compensation package. By the way, did you know that women, 60%, negotiate almost as much as men, 68%? Myth busted. Approximately 66%, or 2/3 of U.S. employees who tried to negotiate initial salaries report success. Respondents who chose to negotiate saw an almost 19% salary increase on average. Within this group, 76% are men and only 24% are women. Linking this to the stat says that 60% of women negotiate, and the fact that 3 times as many men get salary increases as a result of negotiating seems to point to pervasive gender pay inequities. Ladies, let's speak louder and stand taller to get what we are worth. With that in mind, let's get to the specifics of how to negotiate, whoever you are. Hi, I'm Jenny Clark, a conscious leadership expert who spent 2 decades in executive recruiting and talent management, having worked with giants like Google and Spencer Stuart. I discovered that the secret to transformative leadership lies in the 5 dimensions of conscious leadership, and I'm here to help you unlock your full potential. Join me on this channel as we embark on an honest and vulnerable journey together to become the kind of leader that genuinely inspires transformation in your organization. I've got a little career-boosting secret for you. Do you want the inside scoop on leadership plus some juicy tips and hot takes you won't hear anywhere else? I've got a newsletter that's basically your personal career coach in your inbox. Just click the link in the description to join in. Oh, and if you're loving this content, I know you are, click the subscribe button. It's like giving me a virtual fist bump, ensuring you won't miss out on any future career-changing videos. Now, before you even think of entering a negotiation, you need to do your homework. By doing some research, through helpful contacts and publicly available information, starting with the company's online job postings to calibrate, you can usually find what the appropriate range of compensation is for a given position. A number of websites, such as Salary.com, Indeed, the Society of Human Resources Management, SHRM, even the Bureau of Labor Statistics, list salary and bonus ranges for various positions. Be advised that ranges may vary widely, and be sure to use only current and relevant information regardless of the source. The general rule is to never to discuss salary until the prospective employer asks about your expectations. In many states and jurisdictions that have salary history bans, it's illegal for employers to ask job applicants about their salary history. You can share your expectations based on your recent past and knowledge gained about the compensation for your role, organization, and sector. When a job offer is on the table, you may think you have made it through the door and into a new position. Well, not quite. But the biggest mistakes I've seen occurred when candidates misrepresented the facts, whether written on your resume or verbal. Prospective employers are watching how you handle yourself in negotiations as an indicator of your character, your judgment, and skill, regardless of the role that you play in their organization. If you have specific cultural or religious needs, or have an uncommon family situation that has bearing on your compensation, you need to bring up those facts. Timing is everything, and it is a mistake to wait until the final hour before an offer is extended to mention your potential deal breakers. Similarly, you need to assess your prospective employer to make sure you are dealing with people who embody integrity and who value fairness. Trust matters on both sides as you establish a working relationship. But so does being true to yourself. This is business, so don't be naive or gullible. There are times when you need to bend and times when you need to stand firm. But listen to your intuition if you see warning signs early on. It's far better to walk away than to sign on with a company that causes you concern. Here are some possible red flags. The company fails to put the offer, including compensation, job description, level, and title, in writing. The company is quick to call attorneys into negotiations. The company has pending litigation for unfair employment practices. The person with whom you've been negotiating or to whom you thought you'd be reporting is no longer there. If you detect any evidence of certain isms, nepotism, cronyism, favoritism, racism, sexism, at any point, even at this late stage of the game, run. Time is of the essence, so don't delay. Offers are perishable. They often won't last for more than a week, so read the offer letter carefully. Do some homework, but be selective by seeking advice only from reliable sources. When the offer does appear, you want to have the information necessary to be decisive. Before you overthink the salary component of the offer, put it in context. For example, if you're relocating, get a sense of the cost of living in the new city so you know what to negotiate for. If you've been living in a major metropolitan area like Chicago, New York, San Francisco, or Los Angeles, the cost of living is considerably higher than it would be in Des Moines, Portland, Oregon or Maine, or Bentonville, Arkansas even. You can calculate the difference on numerous websites, such as homefair.com or bestplaces.net. The employer extending the offer to you has likely taken the local cost of living into consideration. Most companies compute salary ranges for employees on local housing, grocery and school costs, as well as taxation rates and so on. Money, however, is not everything. Remuneration can take many forms. Here are some ways you can be compensated beyond a salary. Bonus. Now, this can be paid in cash or in equity and often involves a stated formula like 5 to 30% of salary paid annually. Exemplary performance can earn you more, while substandard performance can earn you less. Often the company's performance determines the bonus pool from which everyone's bonus will be paid. Sign-on bonus. This bonus is paid out sometime between your acceptance of the position and your first day reporting to work. It's often paid to make up for a loss someone is taking on a portion of compensation at the job they're leaving. For example, if you're changing jobs in June, but the bonus at your old job isn't paid until January, your new employer might be willing to pay you up to 50% of your anticipated bonus as a sign-on bonus to cover the amount you would have earned had you stayed at your old job. Sign-on bonuses can be a way to keep you in a certain pay band instead of rolling the money into your salary or equity and causing inequities among your peers. Sign-on bonuses usually carry a stipulation that you have to stay in the job for a minimum period of time, typically a year, or you pay the bonus back to the company. Commission. Some employers will offer a straight 100% or partial commission scheme whereby you eat what you kill. This is largely exclusive to sales-oriented roles in which you make your own destiny by generating fees or income through your efforts and earn a percentage of those fees for yourself. The good news is that there is often no limit to what you can earn. The bad news is, if you don't hustle, you don't eat. If commission-based compensation is common in your chosen function or industry, have an honest conversation with yourself about whether you and your family can stomach this arrangement. Some companies will offer an initial draw in which they will pay you what feels like a salary in the early months, but it's actually an advance against what you would eventually earn, so the pressure's on to get out there and sell. If you're on straight commission, you might be entering into an independent contractor arrangement versus that of an employee. The IRS cares about how you account for your income, and so does your employer. Be crystal clear on that point. Equity. At more senior levels, or if you bring a spectacular talent or skill set to the table, you can ask to earn stock or the right to buy the company's stock at a set price. This can be a long-term wealth builder, assuming the company is doing well. Vesting is the speed with which you are assured 100% of those benefits when you leave the company. Accelerated vesting can be negotiated, meaning some people might work 5 years at one company before they are fully vested at a rate of 20% per year. Health benefits. In the US, these benefits are probably the most valuable to the employee and the most expensive for the employer. Although you don't select an employer based solely on their coverage, when all other things are equal, you should go with the one that provides better coverage for you and your family. The extent to which your employer offers domestic partner benefits, for example, can tell you how progressive they might be. There's little here to negotiate. The company will likely have a plan administered by an insurance company, and you're pretty much at the mercy of the coverage the employer has selected, unless you opt to pay more for supplemental insurance. Most negotiations should be straightforward enough for you to negotiate the terms of employment or engagement in the case of an independent contractor on your own. In fact, many jobs require no real payroll and benefits negotiation, just clarification and agreement. However, if you find you need more money or more favorable terms, don't turn into a ferocious hunter armed for big game. Stay positive, congenial, and open-minded. Keep copious notes from earlier interviews and conversations, and compare the actual offer to what might have been said. While the written offer is the binding one, sometimes the person who wrote it, someone in human resources for instance, wasn't the person extending it, perhaps the hiring manager, and therefore has been an oversight or something has gotten lost in translation. Pull out the research you've been gathering on compensation ranges for comparable jobs, first at the company, then within the industry, and even within a particular geographic region. You might need this information to make a case for yourself. If there are terms you don't understand, now's the time to ask questions of the employer and/or an employment attorney. Similarly, if considering tax implications, check in with your tax accountant or financial planner. Wait until you've reviewed all the terms and assemble a complete list of issues before responding with a counteroffer. Review it yourself first to decide which are the most important items and which you can live without. Make one counteroffer. Once the employer has responded, address only those issues that are on the table. Resist the urge to introduce any new ones, or you may start negotiating against yourself and thereby lose credibility. And again, watch the clock. As we discussed, offers have an expiration date. And if negotiations are becoming protracted, maybe because of the employer's fumbling, ask for a written extension and do your best to honor the next date. Now, despite the effort you have invested in interviewing and negotiation, there might come a time when you need to abandon ship or walk away from the offer. I've seen situations in which an employer changes a previously discussed compensation structure to unfavorable terms or changes the responsibilities of the role due to other company changes. Keep in mind that during the 3 to 6 months you've likely been in discussions and interviews with the company, there may have been corporate changes that affect your position, such as mergers, strategy changes, or even layoffs. Surely you've been tracking these events in the news, but it may not be clear how your role will be affected and what kind of negotiating leverage you have or don't have. If you haven't liked how the negotiations have progressed, your uneasiness may be a signal of things to come. Putting aside any possible personal idiosyncrasies of the lead negotiator, maybe a closer look at policy issues and the corporate culture have convinced you that this is a place in which you just don't want to be. Trust your instincts on this one, and maybe use your network or LinkedIn to have a quick conversation with a former employee of the organization to test your suspicions. I've seen people decline an offer because the person to whom they would have reported left the company or moved to another group or location. Now, while a job shouldn't hinge on the presence of one person, if this boss or sponsor was the primary reason for leaving a job you already have, then that person's absence could be a valid reason not to accept the offer. At a minimum, if you get the news during negotiations, the change is significant enough to merit your offer being extended until after you have met the replacement boss. I've seen offers disappear under many different circumstances. Sometimes a potential employee simply fails to honor the deadline and the offer is withdrawn. Often the employer discovers an untruth, indiscretion, or instance of plain bad judgment during the negotiation. The fine print of most offers states that the offer is contingent upon the completion of such things as a physical, a psychological test maybe, a drug test, a credit and background check. At a minimum, do a Google search of your name to ensure you are not being mistaken for someone else with your name. I had a candidate whose background check showed that she'd sued 2 previous employers for discrimination and had more unsettled lawsuits pending. Once again, the offer was yanked off the table. Reject the temptation to announce job offers openly on social media sites until the contract is signed. Even then, continue to use good sense when revealing details that may be available to your prospective employer and new colleagues. Always be complimentary toward your new home and gracious to your former employer. One new hire found her job offer withdrawn within a few hours of tweeting about accepting a lame job just until something better comes along. Her new employer let her know she'd been canned via a Twitter post of their own. There are countless considerations and scenarios in negotiating a job offer. I've offered only some of the most common ones. In my book, Career Mapping, Charting Your Course in the New World of Work, I've detailed many others, so I urge you to consider getting that book. Yep, shameless plug. Even with what's in my book, there are times when you want to hire a consultant or employment attorney to review your offer for your protection. Let this be the beginning of a great new chapter in your career story. I get it. Taking that first step can feel daunting. I've been there too. But here's the thing. You've got strengths you might not even realize yet. I put together a free career mapping framework to help you uncover those hidden talents and chart your own path forward. It's not about changing everything overnight. It's about starting to see your potential clearly. Ready to explore? The framework's waiting for you. Just click the link in the description. Your future self will thank you for taking this small but powerful step today.